That's the issue, right? Because there's a scientific study that came out in the British Journal of Psychological Society, which analyzed, and this I found fascinating. They used some pretty novel methods to analyze uh, diversity of thought on both sides of the spectrum, on the right side and on the left side, and it came up with a fascinating. Ooh, I'm like rolling on myself right here. There we go. With a fascinating graph here. Let me show you what the graph looks like, and then we'll talk a little bit about it, because what you say is, the liberals need to wake up, the NDP needs to wake up. I completely concur, but the entire premise from that side is that they won't wake up unless the group tells them to. So right here we have a nice little graph. It says there is more diversity of thought on the political right than the political left. Although they pride themselves on open-mindedness, liberal thinking actually coalesces around a very narrow set of opinions, whereas the right diverges widely. And what they did is that they gathered a bunch of people that identify more to the right and to the left. I read the study. It's fascinating stuff. And then they asked them a question about very divisive issues. And they wanted to see where they ranked on it, if they really believed in it strongly, or if they didn't believe in it strongly at all. Did they agree, disagree, etc.? And then they mapped where people rank. So what you're looking at here with this graph is every dot is an individual that lines up with the right. Their opinion is that we're, in this case, Republican voters. And this is where they lined up on the issues. They're way wider, which means that, for example, some individuals were very pro-abortion and others were very against abortion, but there were both thoughts within it. But when asked, someone who identifies and votes Democrats on the left, they were always 100% pro-abortion. There was no diversity of thought within that political ideology. Now, this is the issue. The liberals and the NDP, they see themselves as the economy is just fine, and don't believe your own eyes. Don't believe your own eyes. I want to quote the results here. As shown in Figure 2b, the cluster reflecting the Democrat belief system almost exclusively contains extreme attitudes, as indicated by strong disagreement with each other, with each of the 8 items. Conversely, the cluster reflecting the Republican belief system contained a wider range of attitude responses, ranging from mild disagreement to maximum agreement, which means on the Democrat side, everything was always strong disagreement. Everything was always one way to see it, whereas the Republicans, like I mentioned, they had a wider spectrum. Some people disagreed mildly, some people believed and agreed wildly, but it was never just for one kind of thing. So in other words, if we just use more common speak, we can say that it appears that leftists can't think for themselves and thus rely on group consensus to form an opinion on all of their beliefs. I don't think personally they stand for anything, because to be honest with you, I decided, you know what, I sat down and I started thinking, what are some of the contradictions, some of the paradoxes that we hear all the time coming from left-leaning individuals? And these are the ones I wrote down. And by the way, if you come up with some of them, please tell me, because I find this fucking hilarious. But it just goes to show, I don't think they have convictions. They're just being told by the ruling authority, oftentimes the media or their party, this is how you should think, thus this is how you should behave, irrespective of the mental gymnastics that they oftentimes have to partake in to get to those points. The first one: feminism versus Islamic oppression. So there's strong advocacies for women's rights, but that kind of clashes with defending regimes like Iran that enforces hijabs and all the legal inequalities, or, countries like Syria or the Taliban's, or even Palestine that will absolutely, oppress women.
I have a great example for you.
Please do.
You're talking about feminism.
Yes.
Right? How feminist is it for a woman to essentially wish she was dead because she regrets being born? Okay, check this out.
هیچ فرق نمیشیم که بچه هستیم. من واقعا بسیار زیاد ناراحت حتی از بودن خود در دنیا دیگه پشیمان هستیم. کاش هیچ نمی بودیم در دنیا اصلا اون در ملت ارزش نداریم. حیوانات خود سر میتونن سر به خود برن جزای خود ادامه بدن تا بخورن بنوشن. ما اجازه
I wish God had never created women. Let's just translate what she said, okay? I wish God had never created women. If we're going to be so unlucky,
I'm winking at the camera.
then we might as well not live at all. We are being treated worse than animals. Animals can go anywhere on their own, but girls do not have the right to even step out of their homes. How feminist is that?
That is... But they support that, right? So that's one of the contradictions that I find. It's they'll support that, but then they'll die on the hill of feminism, right? As the most important thing ever. Another one, free speech versus cancel culture. Defending expression against authority, yet endorsing deplatforming and firing people for views on things like gender or race, or, applying speech very selectively, or speech rights very selectively to favored narratives. That's another big thing the left does.
It's okay when Jimmy Kimmel gets censored. It's horrible. Sorry.
Yes.
It's horrible when Jimmy Kimmel gets censored. But when Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, gets kicked off of Twitter by a political activist, essentially, I think it was Jack Dorsey. What was his name? Yes. That's okay. For them, it's like a celebration day.
Yep.
When a political activist like Charlie Kirk is shot, they're chanting in the streets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I've never seen right-wing violence towards the left on a political level like this.
Like that, no. But again, the paradox is that they say
and this
themselves...
is, sorry. Compounding this with the Trump assassination attempt as well.
Sure.
So this is two major assassination attempts on major right-wing figures, which does not exist on the left. There is no contrast. Go ahead, sorry.
No, but they call themselves defenders of free speech, but they're not. They're absolutely not, that's for sure. Then there's the pro-choice, so my body, my choice, right? They love to say that. And so bodily autonomy, effectively, but then we contrast
vaccinations.
The vax. There you go.
The hypocrisy.
The vax. It's get jabbed.
Then it's trust the science.
Exactly. You get chastised from society unless you do what we're told. Gun control versus defund the police. Guns are unnecessary due to police protection, but police are untrustworthy and underfunded, but police are untrustworthy and as such defunded, leaving citizens defenseless without any alternatives. Then we have environmentalists.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh, you actually said that. I have something to show you on that one as well. This is how Canadian law enforcement expects you to behave when your life is at risk. Like, such a great example you put out.
Premier can make his own statement and his own mind up about that. What I would say is, as a police service, we'll follow the laws as they're written. If the laws change, we'll change with the laws. But as it stands, we know the best defense for most people is to comply. As you've just heard, a number of safety recommendations will allow for those that are victimizing members in the community to leave and not harm anyone.
Pay all these taxes, submit to us, our massive bureaucratic state, but if someone comes to rob you, just comply.
Yeah, I know.
Just comply. Just give him the keys to your car. Just give him everything he wants. He's not going to kill you.
I made a video.
You don't
about
know that.
I'm a gun owner, and I believe in cancel doctrine, so having the right to defend your property. But no, here the police tells you that you should just give everything to the robbers, and if you defend yourself, you're the one who goes to jail. So yeah, no, that's another.
And the immigrants are the thieves. Like the crime statistics, because they cannot handle immigration. What you just described comes out.
Yep.
Defund the police. Police don't have enough.
Then we have
liberals. Go ahead.
We have environmentalists versus open borders, right? So of course, climate policies are important to curb emissions via, stuff like green mandates and the carbon tax and population control. Don't have too many kids. But mass immigration swells US and Canadian population by hundreds of millions in the US by 2060 and tens of millions in Canada by 2050. Actually, we want to get to 100 million citizens, I believe, in Canada.
Yeah.
Thus spiking resource use and greenhouse gas emission.
Not sure how that's gonna
Anti-racism
work.
versus identity politics, right? So people on the left are staunchly anti-racism, right? Super, super anti-racist. Yet they enforce race quotas that prioritize group identities over individual abilities, thus entrenching division, right? That's DEI in short.
Yeah, let's just keep it simple. What has become non-racism has evolved into racism against white people.
Yeah,
That's what it's become.
absolutely.
And I say this as a brown man.
Brown man approved. Workers' rights versus open borders. That's another big one. So, right, they always push for union power. It's very important to be unionized on the left. And for wages to be hiked, increase the minimum wage, increase workers' wages. But they are super lax on immigration control. And the truth is, immigration floods low-skill markets, suppressing native wages by up to 10%.
Yeah, and let's add this to it, okay? We want higher wages, we want better pay, we want better rights. But we don't care about the economy. We don't understand the economy.
I
We
know.
don't learn about the economy.
That's the thing. Then we have science worship versus selective denial, right? So they're championing evidential science, but rejecting certain scientific findings like IQ variations between individual groups, nuclear power. Nuclear power is dangerous and should never be exploited. Or something as basic as the scientific method, which encourage people to challenge ideas and to test hypotheses and never to blindly trust anything.
Not to trust the science, just don't challenge the science, trust the science, right?
Yeah, that's what they want. Just
That's what
trust the
they want, yeah.
science, right? Then we have diversity versus ideological exclusion. So they celebrate racial and gender inclusion as it is their religion, but they purge dissenters that don't think like them. Then we have the anti-capitalist versus the elite hypocrisy. So they love to say we need to tax billionaires and millionaires and eat the rich, they say. Yet Sanders and all the other liberal politicians, Trudeau and Carney, own multiple homes and jet set across various places for their climate agendas and are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And let's not forget that most CEOs, most major billionaires are actually Democrats. and these people are more than happy to take their money and have their support so long as they turn around and attack who? Trump and Musk. Those are the two evil billionaires they want to tax, right? Lastly, anti-war versus proxy support. So they protested Iraq and they protest lots of conflicts as immoral, but they're more than happy to fund endlessly wars in Ukraine without questioning whatsoever the civilian costs behind it. So all these are just on top of my head. Honestly, I was like, what is the moral bankruptcy, the logical fallacy, not even the logical fallacies, the cognitive dissonance that I see daily with these individuals. That was on top. Is there a couple that you can think of?
You hit it on the head, my friend.
Oh, there you go.